It's the first step to ending homelessness in New Jersey. On January 27th into the 28th, the NJ Counts 2015 campaign will fan out all across the area, counting the number of residents who don't have a place of their own to call home at night. Now, those numbers will determine how much and which types of affordable housing are needed. And here to tell us more about this initiative is Taiisa Kelly and Katie Brennan of Monarch Housing Associates. Welcome to you, ladies.
Thank you.
And this program is not entirely new, but you're telling me this is the second year for Monarch Associates to be taking care of it. Tell us a little bit about Monarch.
Sure. Monarch Housing Associates is a small nonprofit organization, and we are committed to trying to find housing opportunities for those who are and have special needs, which includes the homeless. So there are two parts of our organization: the Ending Homeless team, which I work with, where we work with communities to develop plans to and work with them to identify the population, figure out what types of programs work, and actually identify funding to fund those programs and get them up and running. And Katie works with the housing development team of the organization, and she can talk about that.
And we work to develop permanent, affordable, and supportive housing. We partner with local, county, state, for nonprofit partners to build anything from single-family homes to 100-unit multifamily buildings.
Before you can get them into these homes, you have to know how many people and what kind you are dealing with. How does the count take place? What actually happens?
So in New Jersey, we organize the count as a statewide effort. Every community across the state participates in the count. And what happens is that we have volunteers, teams of volunteers that go out. In some communities, they count overnight and look for people who are sleeping on the street. We also do surveys amongst those who are in shelters and transitional housing across the state. In many communities, they host what we call Project Homeless Connect events, where they have an opportunity for people who are homeless or in need to come in, complete a survey, get a hot meal, get essential items, coats, blankets, other essential items, and then also information about services that are available in the community, and hopefully connect them to the service community where they can begin the process of getting help.
So once you've identified a person, then, Katie, what happens to that person after they go through this process? How do you then place them?
How do we place them? So we work to develop and create affordable housing. For example, Monarch is almost finished with a building right now in Edison, New Jersey, and that's Kilmer Homes. And when it's completed, it will be 120 units, apartments that people can afford, and that also has 30 units set aside specifically for persons and families that are currently homeless. And we hold a lottery, and unfortunately in that lottery that we just held, we had 5 times as many applications as we have units for people to live in. And so we work with partnering organizations, be that housing authorities, be that service providers, to take people who are identified in the count and make sure that they can have a home to live in.
Speaking of that count, do we have any sense of just how many homeless people there are in the Garden State?
Sure. So in 2014, when we did the count, a similar count in 2014, January 29th, and we found 13,900 individuals. That was men, women, and children who were homeless in the state. And that was just a one-day count of one point in time. When we look at information across the year, we see that there were about 26,000 people who were homeless in shelters in the state, and that doesn't take into account those who are sleeping on the street. So we know there's a significant portion of the population in the state who are experiencing homelessness or are at significant risk of homelessness.
And do these people incur any expenses of their own once they're placed into these homes?
It depends. So what we consider affordable is 30% of one's income going towards your housing expenses. So in an affordable unit, we target it so that people and families can pay what is affordable to them. They can live and carry on and have permanent jobs and stable families and get more education. And for homeless units, someone very likely has very little or almost no income. So in that case, they may be paying just a very small contribution.
You gave us some bullet points here that proven strategies for ending homelessness in New Jersey, including housing first and as a best practice. What do you mean by rapid rehousing?
So just kind of what the name implies, really taking a person, I think in the traditional homeless service system, a person goes from homelessness to emergency shelter, they connect with services, go to transitional housing, prepare themselves, and then possibly get into permanent housing. Rapid rehousing and housing first kind of flip that on its head and say, everybody's ready for housing, everybody deserves the right to housing.
Put them in there right away.
Put them in there right away and then wrap the services around them.
And what about centralized coordinated assessment?
One of the things that we find is that it's very difficult for people to figure out how to access services in communities. So centralizing the way people access the system, making it streamlined, making it easier for people to get into services will help to funnel people through the system faster and get into permanent housing quicker.
And I suppose, Katie, retooling transitional housing means just that, thinking out of the box.
Of course, and so getting someone off the streets and getting them into transitional housing is wonderful, but ultimately our goal is to create more permanent housing so that someone can have a home forever.
All right, good luck to you on your count, ladies. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.